So the Lord has been putting on my heart all week that He has taken our cup of wrath.
You took my place and conquered the grave and rose on that day when you made a way. My shame was borne by you, the veil was torn in two, the cup of wrath is gone. Jesus has overcome. We pass from death to life. This is our battle cry. Sin has lost and love has won.
Check out my pastor's sermon from today.
It's imperative that we see this as it was, because you have to remember that noonday, that Samaritan woman was an adulterer 5 times over. And the man that she was with now was not her husband. Do you know what the Bible in the Old Testament, do you know what it called for a woman caught in adultery? It's found in Numbers chapter 5, and for the sake of time, I'm going to paraphrase. In the Old Testament, during even the day of Christ, if a woman were to even be accused of adultery, she would be brought into the temple to the very front to the high priest. The high priest would then kneel down and pick up a handful of dust, filthy dust from the tabernacle floor. And he would sprinkle it into a cup of holy water. All of this is described in Numbers 5. And the high priest publicly, openly, would force this bitter cup of condemnation to her lips. If she were guilty, this bitter cup of the curse would make her infertile and curse her for the rest of her life. If she were innocent, they prayed that the suffering would simply pass. That day at Jacob's well, Jesus knew that woman was an adulterer 5 times over, and by the letter of the law, he, being our spiritual and eternal high priest, had every right to come to her and force the bitter cup to her mouth, the cup of condemnation and judgment. But instead, look again at what Christ said to her. He said, "Give me your drink. Give me a drink. Let me have your cup." In other words, he was foreshadowing, symbolically, saying to her, I know who you are. I know what you deserve. But instead of condemning you, I want your cup. Give me your curse. Give me your shame, and I will take it upon myself. Give me your cup. Do you remember that on Calvary's cross, as Jesus was suspended between heaven and earth, one of his last statements, he cried out, I thirst, I thirst. And the Roman soldiers lifted up the bitter drink to his mouth. And as Jesus consumed the bitter cup, the bitter drink on the cross, he literally said, it is finished, and gave up his spirit. This, my friends, is a picture of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And the truth is, like this woman, we are all adulterous. We are all adulterers. We have all forsaken God and pursued other lovers in this life. We've all been thirsty and searched for the right things in the wrong places. You might say, well, I've never committed adultery. I've never done anything egregious like that. Well, Jesus said, if you even thought it in your heart, you are guilty and condemned. The truth is, sin is more than just the actions that you have made in the body. It is the state of heart and the state of your mind. And Romans says that all of us have sinned and come short of the glory of God. The truth is, we all deserve the cup of suffering, the cup of the curse. We all deserve to stand before God condemned. But thanks be to God, when we were lost in our sin and dead in our trespasses, he was rich in mercy towards us. And his Son took our punishment, the cup of God's wrath poured out on him. And he who knew no sin became sin, that you and I might be called the righteousness of God in him. Come on, somebody, and give the Lord praise if you're thankful that he took your penalty. You and I deserve hell. We deserve judgment. We deserve the wrath of God. Romans says none of us are good. None of us are truly seeking after God. All of us have left God's path for our own, but God was rich in mercy towards you. I pray this morning that you would give your past, you would give that condemnation, your mistake, your sin, give it to Jesus. Don't carry it any longer.
He took our cup of wrath upon himself and in turn gave us a cup of living water that leads to everlasting life. And now we can surely say, my cup runneth over. Check out this sister's post.